All right, we call our City Council regular meeting at 14050 Olympic Drive at 6 o'clock to order. First item of business is a roll call, please. Mr. Assistant City Clerk, or whatever your title is today.
Councilmember Overton. Here. Councilmember Kramer.
Here.
Councilmember Claffey. Here. Vice Mayor Purdock. Here. Mayor Slutin.
Present. Mr. Don Smith, would you do the invocation for us today? Pledge allegiance, we're going to do first, but after that. Here we go. Mr. Claffey.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing. Come on.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father God, we call you, come into this place, this moment, to do the business of city, of community. We pray your blessing on this time. We also acknowledge the good work of our police department and the advancement and achievements that are acknowledged in this place today. And we give you great praise for that and continued protection over our men and women in uniform. In your good name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda, Mr. Flora?
No modifications, Mr. Mayor.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we go to number 2, swearing in of a new police department sergeant.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and members of the public. Tonight we have the exciting opportunity to formally swear in Corporal Mark Harden into the position of police sergeant. Obviously, Corporal Harden's been around the department for a while now, but I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about some of his career accomplishments because I think it shows the character of person that you're getting in this position and the experience that he's going to be able to share with all the other personnel within the police department. So I'll just address him as sergeant now because that's what it'll be in a few minutes. He started his career in 1994 with the United States Marine Corps. Once a Marine, always a Marine. You can see his shoes are nicely shined there. Would not expect anything less. In 1999, he became a police officer, and he served throughout Napa Valley, serving as a canine handler, a field training officer, corporal, watch commander, bike patrol officer, DUI. He received the MAD DUI award. He also served promoting to corporal with the Calistoga Police Department, where he served as a watch commander, and then became an instructor in quite a few different things, including firearms, patrol rifle, arrest and control, defensive tactics, field training officer. Field training officer is something that I think most everybody in the department knows him as because he's trained most of the department since he's been here in 2015. In fact, I think they oriented and then immediately had him start training officers. He came to the Clearlake Police Department as a lateral hire in June of 2015. He served as a canine handler for most of that time. He served obviously as a field training officer, a watch commander. He served as the department's homeless liaison officer. He's involved with starting the Coffee with a Cop program here locally in Clearlake. And he was selected in the Corporal Special Assignment. He was selected by the department as the Officer of the Year in 2019. Mark has also served giving back, is what I call it, with the Police Academy. He served with the Napa Police Academy from 2000 to 2007, including as a recruit training officer, senior drill instructor, everybody's favorite in the academy, a driving under the influence instructor, a scenario evaluator, and physical fitness instructor. And most recently, he's been involved with efforts to, you didn't know that. Most recently, he's been involved with efforts to try and continue the program. For those that don't know, because of budget cuts, they actually shut down the police academy or temporarily suspended it. And Mark, I think, jumped out of college retirement to try to ensure that some semblance of that program continues. So With that, I want to acknowledge Mark's family here, which I'll have him introduce shortly, but I think for all of us serving this, and additionally the position that he's going into, that the family's most important, and that's what makes sure that, you know, they form us, shape us, and support us during the difficult times and the good times, which is tonight. But I think it's important to acknowledge their sacrifice for us to be here doing these positions. With that, I would like to invite up Lieutenant Snyder and Lieutenant Hobbs. So what we'll do next is we'll administer the oath of office, which I'll read to Sergeant Hardin, and then we'll have his family up to do the pinning honors.
Now he gives a speech and sings God Bless America.
Yes, but before he gives this speech, I just want to acknowledge all the police department personnel that are here with dispatch, the police officers, supervisors, and everybody else that's come out to support him in this occasion. And with that, you have to say a few words, so come on up. Welcome to sergeanthood.
Didn't know that, huh?
Are you going to speak in the mic?
I greatly appreciate the opportunity, and I can't be more tickled than to see all my friends and family and coworkers here to support me. It really means a lot, especially to my in-laws, who I don't think they've missed an event since we were 18, 19 years old, and so I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll take a short little break to congratulate Mark in person.
Take some pictures with your family or your friends. Lift your chair up if you have to. I think mine's up there.
All right. Well, a rowdy crowd over there. Bones. All right, Mr. Kramer. Councilman Kramer. Let's reconvene. Doesn't have batteries.
I'm serious.
What does it have, his hearing aids in? I don't know, I can't tell.
No, I think he does. Maybe batteries in.
All right, we're going to reconvene here. Next item on the agenda is presentation of a proclamation 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence impacts women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, and whereas emotional and physical scars resulting from domestic violence are often severe and long-lasting. And whereas in the past 12 months, Lake County law enforcement responded to over 253 incidents of domestic violence, including men, women, and children. In the past 12 months, the Victim Witness Division of the District Attorney's Office has served 336 victims of domestic violence. Lake Family Resource Center responded to 942 crisis line calls, served victims, and additionally sheltered 116 domestic violence victims and their children for a total of 4,292 bed nights. Whereas it's crucial importance to hold perpetrators responsible for assault and to prevent domestic violence at every opportunity. And whereas family violence is a community problem, stopping the cycle requires not only the strength and courage of survivors, but also the support and involvement of all members of the community. And whereas many organizations such as the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, Lakeport Police Department, Clearlake Police Department, and Lake Family Resource Center are committed to ending domestic violence in Lake County and provide essential crisis intervention and prevention services to all members of our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the month of October 2022 is designated as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and in the city of Clear Lake and our community is urged to support the efforts of the agencies assisting victims of domestic violence and to increase their involvement in efforts to prevent domestic violence, thereby strengthening our community and creating an environment which honors, nurtures, and protects all members of every family. Signed by me, dated October 6, 2022. Is there somebody here that wants to receive this proclamation? There you go. If there's anything you want to say, please go.
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Good,
awesome,
please
thank
go.
you. Just want to take a quick moment to thank our partners in the city of Clearlake for proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As many know, with COVID, a lot of activities have been shut down. Luckily, we have a lot more coming up this year with the restrictions lifted. So we're excited to announce that on October 22nd at 9 a.m. at our Kelseyville office, we are going to have we are going to have a walk to raise awareness for domestic violence. So we ask that you wear purple, invite your friends, your family, your pins, your pets, dress up and come join us as we walk down Main Street and bring awareness to domestic violence. I would also like to thank again the council for helping us shine light on this issue that we have. And hopefully we can all use this month as a reminder to our children, family, friends, and ourselves that love shouldn't hurt. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to a presentation of a proclamation declaring October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas, while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains the most common diagnosed cancer and second leading cause of death among women in the United States. And whereas each year it's estimated that more than 220,000 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 40,000 will die as a result of the disease. And whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness about the disease, and whereas during this month we reaffirm and wear pink clothing to raise awareness, we also support courageous fighting breast cancer and honor the lives lost to the disease. Whereas this October we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, and their families and friends who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite all citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer death through increased education and regular screening. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Clearlake does here proclaim October 2022 Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Clearlake, dated October 6, 2022. Do we have anybody to take this? Apparently not.
I'd be happy to receive it, Mr. Mayor. I brought my Hooter hat for Hands Up for Hooters, which is a team I get to belong to. I did a couple of training walks with the Hooters this year. It's a team based out of the Fair Oaks, Sacramento area. I believe they were going to try to walk in every one of the Susan G. Coleman walks this year around the country. A great group of people, and I believe that group has raised about 1.5 roughly in the several years that they've been in existence. Also like to recognize the great work that's being done here in Lake County to support breast cancer victims and survivors. And sadly, several of the women that I had the chance to walk with when I did the San Diego 60-mile walk with my wife, several have passed away. The cancer came back and sadly took their lives. But through the work that's being done with the varieties of breast cancer that there are additional treatments now because of the work that's being done and the support that's being given. So thank you very much for this recognition for this terrible disease and for all those making the effort to try to end it. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, we'll go to public comment. This is the time for any member of the public to address the City Council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter or jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take any action on non-agenda items, and concerns may be referred to staff or placed on the next available agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item, and comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Doesn't appear that we have anything in the room here. Do we have anybody on Zoom, Mr.?
There are no comments on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion?
Is there any changes?
Are there any changes? No. Any changes from the public on it? If not, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we go to item number 10, consideration of appointment of Kurt Giambi Bruno to the Lake County Vector Control District Board for a term of 4 years. Mr. Melissa Swanson is not, our city clerk is not here. Maybe who's going to?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, council members, Ms. Swanson isn't here, so I'll try to address any questions that you have about this item. I don't really have much of a staff report to present, but Mr. Giambruno's term is up. Sounds like the vector control staff really appreciate his support and leadership on that board and are requesting that he be reappointed for another term.
Very good. Any questions for staff? If not, is Mr. Vice Mayor Purdock?
Yeah, I wasn't able to meet with Mr. Giambruno, but I did speak with his peer and also another representative of us, Chuck Leonard, who also serves on vector control. And he shared with me that they appreciate being a part of the vector control board, that they like the work that they're doing. And I very much support keeping Kurt on vector control. I think he does a great job.
Okay. Any more comments here from the council? We would open it up to the public. We have any public comment on this item?
There are no public comments, Mr. Mayor.
Bring it back to the council. Direction,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we continue and appoint Kurt Giambruno to the Lake County Vector Control District Board for the term of 4 years.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Purdock and a second by Councilman Kramer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll go to item number 11. Discussion and consideration of establishment of a home buyer assistance program as a retention and recruitment incentive for city employees. Mr. Flora.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. So, as you know, one of the more difficult tasks we face as an organization is recruitment and retention of high-performing and committed employees. We have a great group now, but, you know, as should be no surprise to you, home ownership is one of the keys both to bring folks here and to keep them here. And we know access to housing locally is certainly a challenge. Costs of home ownership continue to rise, and just trying to kind of come up with some ways maybe to help keep some of our employees here. And so we wanted to talk to the council about it and see what the level of interest was. There's a number of sort of questions that I put in the staff report that I think would be helpful. There's not very many examples of this type of program out there. We did track down, I think there's maybe 4 or so in California that we were able to come up with. But they have some good ideas that these just came in yesterday that I hadn't really even thought about or anticipated. So I'd like to talk about some of those items. But a few things we'd like to discuss. I mean, amount of a potential incentive. Of course, there are different ways to look at it, but we would recommend requirement that any home purchase be within the city. Of course, that it be owner occupied. There would be the option of imposing some type of income limits for program participation, requirements for the time of being employed with the city if you were to receive this incentive. And then, of course, we would like to make sure that there's a method to make sure that the incentive itself is tax-free and not taxed, thereby maximizing the amount of the incentive that is available. So with that, maybe I'll just kind of stop and see what reaction the council has to this idea, and then we can talk some details from there.
Councilwoman Overton.
So, I do think this is a good idea. I thought years ago that the police department helped some of the police officers at the beginning of the city to help buy homes. And it may be that they used, I don't know what they used, but I remember that there was an incentive program for the police department.
I believe it was a federal grant.
Yeah.
Federal, the
Council
COPS
Okay.
program.
Right, the COPS program. So, and that did help. I mean, it helps to know that they're stable and everything. So is there a way to look at that type of what they did through that program to give us some ideas of what this program would look like?
Yeah, we could. I'm not familiar with that one at all, but happy to take a look at it and see how it's set up.
It was just a simple finance program, I believe, through a grant, federal grant that we had received to help law enforcement officers live in the community that they served.
Councilman Claffey.
City Manager, you and I discussed the tuition program. What other retention programs do we have in place currently?
Well, as far as retention, I mean, you can look at the things that are in the MOU. We don't really have what I would consider like any type of standalone retention programs per se. We try to give people meaningful work in improving the community and training opportunities to advance and all that type of stuff. But we don't have really a standalone program for that. Related to the housing, we have had a couple of employees apply for the homestead program, as well as, of course, a number of folks employed outside of the city organization. But, it is even more of a challenge to build a new house, just cost-wise, than it is still to find a house to purchase. I mean, we have a real deficit of what you would consider quality housing in the city, so that part of it's a challenge. But, the average home price in Clearlake is around $230,000, $240,000. I just recently checked with a contractor and said that the average cost of construction right now is about $350 a square foot, which is going to put a 1,200 square foot house at $420,000. So, that's more of a stretch, and just thinking that a program like this might help certain folks take that next step if they've been working here for a while. I mean, I hate to hear stories about people considering, going for a second job or something like that to be able to take the step into home ownership when they work for the city.
So we have had employees leave the city. Do we conduct exit interviews with them? What is typically the response?
Well, we don't have a formal exit interview program. I mean, I know, I don't know if the police department does. Folks that work in City Hall administration, we certainly do that, but I don't know. I can't think of any situations on our side where folks have left because they couldn't afford a house in the city. But I do think, taking that step and making that additional commitment to the community makes a difference.
Councilwoman Overton.
Okay, I mean, I like the idea of the program, but I think there's, one, I definitely think that if we did this program, that I personally would say, I'm not going to give city money for them to move someplace else outside of the city, so it would definitely have to be inside the city limits. But where are we thinking that this money is going to come from? Our housing set-aside money, or?
Yeah, we wouldn't use general fund, but we have housing funding, the same funding source that is funding the homestead program. We have additional funds in there that aren't committed right now.
Because I want to help our employees too, but I also don't want to take away, so we need to have an amount that we're going to use each year. Is that what you're looking at? Because we're going to use this much money of the housing set aside for employees? I mean, there has to be a limit
I wanted
here.
this to be a conversation and see what the council thought about it. I mean, I don't think we're instantly going to get 20 applications for this program. I mean,
Yeah.
there's already a lot of folks that have housing in the city or housing that they like somewhere, right? But You know,
Just an incentive to try to draw people here and have them stay, I'm assuming, because the police is getting harder and harder to find officers to even apply. Most people are like getting out of it. From the ones I've talked to are like, man, I'm leaving, I don't want to deal with it anymore because of all the things that have went on. So is this like an incentive thing to say, you come here, we'll help you buy a house so we can attract more police officers?
well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's when pretty much all of our new hires are out of area. And we've had some times where it's worked okay and others where it's been a real scramble, where someone who wants to live here and, you know, we got to figure out someplace to put them. And we've had to do a lot of temporary stuff and just trying to make it all work. And I mean, this isn't going to solve the inventory problem, right? But
Might help. So it's an
Any
overall
advantage
police
we can-
department, city hall together.
well, that's
Okay.
the way I would envision it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I would expect that we will get some participants interested who are new hires, whether it's a police officer or someone else coming, being able to take advantage of this. And also folks who may be sort of more entry level in the organization that have been renting or haven't been around too long and would like to take that first step and put down a little deeper roots.
Vice Mayor Purdock.
Yeah, I want to concur, Councilmember Overton's comment about, I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see it happen within city limits. So my position is to, let's move forward with this and come back with how much are you looking at? Is it a percentage of their annual base salary, or how you're structuring that? Or is it just a flat amount? What are you recommending for this program?
Well, I mean, I was initially thinking, you know, somewhere around 20 or 25,000. And looking at some of the other places, they do have the ability to offer quite a bit more. Of course, housing costs are higher in some of these areas too. There's one here which I like a lot of the terms that Walnut Creek did. They have a maximum amount of 65,000. And then they also have a special exception that if it's what's considered a hard-to-fill position, they're allowed to go up to 200,000. I mean, I don't think in our market that would,
Yeah, but their houses
that
are
would be
$100 million.
necessary.
So.
But there's some other things like the borrower must be able to pay the closing costs on the mortgage itself and at least 5% down payment. Some things like that. One thing that's interesting about how they have theirs set up is it's kind of structured as a loan, but the employee doesn't make any payments or accrue any interest. But what happens when the house is sold, the increase in the value of the home is split with the city. Which I
Happy with just getting our money back.
which I thought was an interesting idea. So,
Councilman Kramer.
Yes, along with Vice Mayor Purdock, I agree with Councilwoman Overton. In support of this program, one question I had, and I think I talked with you about it before, is that there be a requirement that they not sell the house for some number of years to be determined. So is that something that would?
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that makes sense. It looks like most of the programs out there do a 5-year term, but, you know, whatever the council thinks, I think there definitely needs to be some limit on it.
I like the 5-year term. I would be interested to hear what Mr. Jones has to say about that, because I don't know contractually if we could do that, but also hate to see them live in it for a year and then turn it into a rental.
I would think it has to be owner occupied on most programs. If
Well,
they're-
we're just building it,
Right,
so I want
right.
to make sure that's built in.
So, I guess I should ask if I can speak.
Councilman Claffey.
Okay. Let's take a step back. So I think we all agree that retention is important. We just threw out a number, 25K, potentially higher. I think we still have to figure out if retention is important to us, is that the most important thing for our employees? I think right now, this isn't San Francisco. Housing prices aren't unaffordable here. There's different tiers at different levels. I appreciate that we like the sound of home buying, but maybe if we're trying specifically for retention, I just want to make sure that we know that that is what's going to help us keep the most employees.
Vice Mayor Purdo.
I think Councilman.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just-
Councilwoman Overton, you go
Um,
first.
It's like totally- that one. So if I do, I kind of like the idea that when they, I mean, it's a loan with no interest or anything, and if they sell the house, that we,
Right.
even if we give them a little discount, say they borrow 30,000, we get 20 back. I mean, to me, that makes it to where the program, we have to sustain the program. So, I mean, to me, it's like, if they're going to sell the house, they really shouldn't benefit from the money that we're letting them use. I can understand not paying any interest or anything, but I do think that that money, if they sell the house, that portion should come back to the city.
Vice Mayor Purdo.
Okay, I also agree with that point. The other thing that I want to just express here is we're not dealing with money out of our pocket. We're talking about the taxpayers' money for this program. But what is, and this is just a general question, I'm not expecting an answer, Mr. Flora, but what is the cost to the city when we lose a well-trained, seasoned employee? I think that's where the taxpayer gets the benefit, because we're retaining people that are good quality employees and helping them to have home ownership here in the city. But I do like upon sale, we'd recoup those funds.
Last, I think it's a great idea. I mean, you're going to get, we need to have a check on how much and how long. And those are the two things I need to kind of look, like to see. But I think it's definitely helps with retention, and it will help with community building. So, all right, we open it up. Any more comments from staff? We open it up to the public. We have anybody on Zoom for this item?
There are no hands raised on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll bring it back to the council. Councilwoman Overton.
Just a thought here is, maybe there is a way where they don't pay it back if they stay working for the city for, a period of time. There could be an incentive to, if we're looking at retention and keeping them in the city, that as long as they're a city employee, that, so much money comes off of that loan. Just a thought that we
I
might
got
be able to.
one more comment, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. I want to after this.
If it was possible, Mr. Flora, it would also, in today's real estate market, housing prices are going down, but as we know, interest rates are starting to raise. I think they're still good, but they are going up. If they could use that money either in escrow to try to buy down the rate on the mortgage, that could help in the long term. If they could buy down a point or two. So maybe another application for this funding.
I agree. And that was,
Well, I mean, one thing we see a lot with,
Yeah,
the city still has the first-time homebuyers program, which hasn't really been used the last couple of years. Rates have been so low and stuff that, I guess, there hasn't been as much demand for it. But, I mean, that's one thing that we try to focus on in figuring out a package to help these folks is, a lot of times with the entry-level home buyer, they end up not having enough down payment assistance, and so they have to pay for the mortgage insurance, and that really escalates the payment and often makes it unaffordable for them. So, anything that can be done to sort of wipe that out is a big advantage.
Appreciate you bringing this to us.
think you have enough direction, Mr. Flora? Go ahead.
I don't know how much direction I have, but it sounds like there's certainly support. I mean, you want me to come back with a more detailed program for you to approve? I mean, do you have?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have thoughts on?
I think 5 years
what's the-
seems like a term, and then
Has to be
either,
in the city.
Yeah. and then there might be even a, if they sell it within 5 years, we get all of it back, but if they stay here for 10 years, that thing is, waived or something like that. That's what I'm thinking of. The longer they stay, the more they can keep.
I mean, when we look at the cost to recruit to replace a lieutenant or a police chief,
Yeah.
we're looking at $30,000, easy,
Probably more.
more.
So, I mean, it's difficult to quantify the training
You're
aspect
right.
of it too, and then
You're
the
right.
loss of productivity for a period of time and all that, but.
All right. We'll go to city managers and council member reports. Mr. Flora, you're up first.
I don't really have much to report. I do want to report that effective tomorrow, Adeline Labo will be the city's new public works director. So excited to have her on board and move forward with all the exciting projects that we have.
Tell her, her first step is that she has to come to city council meetings now.
She will.
Councilman Kramer, we'll go starting to then.
Okay, I don't have a lot. I was in a RRA protracted thing where they had asked support of each of their members representing various agencies, in our case, the city. And what they had proposed, I wasn't comfortable with, so I talked with City Manager Flora and also our City Attorney Jones and asked, and in fact, I asked them to delay the vote on this thing for 5 days, which they weren't happy about, but they did. And after it was reviewed by everybody, we decided that we could support it. It wouldn't obligate us to any financial thing, and certainly at that point for what we're supporting is basically support of a grant to be used for potentially a biomass, biochar project somewhere in the county. So that was the biggest thing that really I've been involved in.
Councilwoman Overton.
Really the only thing I have to report on is the California League of Cities had their special election for a new board member because Lakeport City Council resigned, and our new one is Scott Bura. He's been on several committees already and very involved in the League of Cities, so I think he'll do good for us on the board. And the only other thing, I just have an announcement that our Hoedown event is this weekend. That's sponsored by the Clearlake Senior Center, and it's for our Meals on Wheels programs, and tickets are still for sale.
Councilman Claffey.
Well, I had the pleasure of going to a series of great events along with some others here. The Chamber of Commerce had their fantastic luau at Cache Creek, one of the best wineries in Lake County, I think. I think that was a great venue, so everyone should go check that out. The K-9 unit for our police department had a wonderful event as well. So thank you for having me there, and that's about it, Mr. Mayor. Just a lot of fun.
Vice Mayor Purdo.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to continue on the tails of Mr. Claffey's comment. The chamber had the luau on Saturday. It was fantastic. Just really want to thank the city admin and staff for your support. It was great to see the chief there all dressed up like his family with matching shirts and such. Good to see a lot of smiles and people having fun and enjoying the time. I would also like to recognize someone that was pretty important to me as a kid growing up. Resident of Lake, or not just Lake County, but Clearlake, who passed away on Friday, and that was Judge Richard Freeborn. Don't call me Richard, he liked to be called Dick. He was a volunteer firefighter with and support person with Lake County Fire Protection back in the day when it was Lakeshore Fire. Of course, he started drug court here in our South Lake Municipal Court, and then it became Superior Court. And most importantly, in my life, he was a very good scouter and started growing Troop 44 here in the city of Clearlake, was president and MC at my Eagle Court of Honor, and helped me to grow and be a better scoutmaster and leader. And actually, his last hike, he joined me for a 10-miler on Mount St. Helena, was his last hike with the troop. Just a very good man, very community organizer and supporter of all the things that we tried to do. I think the last community event he helped me with was when we were working on what's now the Chamber building, when we were doing some demo and working there. He volunteered his time. Not something you see a Superior Court judge do. So just an outstanding human being. My condolences and heartfelt thoughts go to the Freeborn family who's considering what they may do. Dick wasn't a big one for funerals and big festivities. He's, adage was you're here one day and then you're not, and that's just how it is. So I'd just like to, Mr. Mayor, let the good people of Clearlake know that he will be missed, and I hope they'll keep him in their prayers.
I want to tag on to that. He was, he started a judge's breakfast, and that's been a community kind of forum that's been around for a long time and was started back up again just beginning of the year. And it was one of the things that I started joining way being in, years ago, before I got involved with Rotary and then this city. And he called us all service junkies, community service junkies, and I'm glad that I have known him. I also went to the luau, great event, fantastic event, and I also attended a K-9 dinner, and had a lot of fun there too. So, thank you. I think that's all.
Isn't there another dinner this Saturday night?
I don't know.
I don't know, nobody mentioned it.
So nobody has mentioned it yet.
Well, it wasn't mentioned.
Oh, we have that.
She mentioned
Oh, did you mention? I apologize.
I didn't.
And then there's a dinner the week after that too, I understand?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, there is one the week after.
Got to pull it out of them.
All right. Anybody has to do do-overs? If not, future agenda
I
items.
apologize.
I did want to point out, you're talking about Judge Freeborn. We are putting together some type of recognition so the council can do a proclamation for.
Thank you.
That's great.
I'm sure you appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Great,
Alan.
great. All right. If not, no future agenda items, anybody?